What's up, guys? In this week's video, we'll be taking a look at changing the brake on the SawStop whenever I switch from the regular table saw blade to the Dado blade. So maybe you've been looking at the SawStops, but you're not exactly sure how that brake works. So this video, I'll show you exactly how easy it is to change. In real time, it only takes me maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It's a really easy process. For a little bit of bonus footage, I'll show you how to put the Dado blade on and also how to clean a saw blade. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into the action. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do is to make sure that the saw is unplugged. You don't want your hands anywhere near the blade if the saw is plugged in, even if it's turned off. So we're good because here's the plug for the saw. So now we can actually get started on this. So we need to pop the throat plate off to access everything down inside there. And this will be easier if the blade is up higher, so we'll go ahead and lift the blade now. Using the wrenches that came with the saw, we can take the blade off. So the first wrench will go on the nut right here, and then on the other side, right down in here, there's not actually a nut there, but the wrench will fit over the side of that. So the way that I always remember on how to turn these is that this wrench on the back here will stay stationary, and then I can turn this. So righty tighty, lefty loosey. So I'll hold this one still, and then when I put this wrench on, I'll turn it towards the left to loosen the nut. After that nut is loosened, it can just be pulled off. This piece here will next come off. And then the blade can just very simply slide off of the arbor. Once the blade is off from right here, we can next take the riving knife off. So we want to get rid of this piece here. There is a lever right here that holds the riving knife in place. So if I flip that up, this will become loose right here. With that lever up, I can then pop the riving knife out, which you can see it's held in by these holes. So the brake is right here, which lines up against the saw blade. And to get the brake out, we use this red pin lever right here that comes out. So I'm going to put the camera down inside the saw so you can see this a little bit better. So for reference, we are down inside the saw, and I just want to put the saw blade back on real quick just so you can see how close it sets to that brake. If the brake is triggered, it will fire into that saw blade, and that's how it stops the blade. Anyway, here is the red lever that I was talking about, and you can see that you flip it up and then it just pulls right out of there. It's really easy to do. Now the brake itself is lined up and guided by 2 pins, which you can see me pointing to here. And there's 2 holes on the brake that'll slide right onto those pins, so there's no chance of getting the brake misaligned. After I've taken the regular brake off, I can drop the Dado brake in and then lining it up with those pins, pop it right into place, bring the red pin back, put that in the hole that it came out of, lock it down, and then that brake is ready to go. It really is that simple. Here's a quick side-by-side picture so you can see the differences, but we'll talk more about that here in just a second. So just a quick comparison of the brakes. This is the regular brake here on the left. This is the Dado brake on the right. So you can see how much bigger the Dado brake is right here. Also, because the Dado stack is 8 inches and the saw blade is 10 inches, this part comes a lot further forward than this brake. So if I overlap them there, you can see how much further that the other brake, the Dado brake on the bottom, comes forward than that. Also, if we turn them on their side, you can see how much thicker the Dado brake is right here rather than the regular blade, of course, because that Dado blade is wider. One other thing you'll notice here, so this hole and this hole, as well as these 2 on this brake, are what line that up. But there is an electrical plug here and here that matches up that engages the brake. So we'll go back inside the saw here for just a second, and I'll show you where that is. So you can see that receptacle toward the middle of the screen, but you won't have to worry about lining that up thanks to those pins we talked about just a second ago. So here is the Dado blade, and the Dado blade is made up of 2 blades. And a series of chippers and spacers that allows you to change the width of the blade depending on how wide you need that Dado groove to be cut. So this Dado stack in particular comes with all the spacings that you'll need depending on how wide you need that Dado groove. So I need a 3/4 inch groove because I'm using some 3/4 inch birch. So I need 1 of each blade, 3 chippers, and then 2 spacers. So here will be my 2 blades, the 3 chippers up here, and then 2 of the standard size spacers. Alright, so we'll first put the blade in. Now I like to have the letters facing the outside. It really doesn't make a difference, but you want to make sure that the teeth are facing the way of the rotation. So that's the correct rotation there. Now the spacers and the chippers don't really matter what order you put them in. So I'm going to go with spacer first, then I'll put the 3 chippers in. So here is the first chipper. Again, make sure the teeth are going forward. And then the second and the third chippers can go in. Followed by that other spacer. And then finally the other blade. So with the dado teeth, you want to make sure that they are staggered and that none of the teeth are touching. Move this one back just a little bit. All the other ones look pretty good. A lot of times with the dado blade, if you put this piece here back on, then the nut won't have enough of the threads to grab a hold of. So I'm just leaving this piece off and making sure that this is nice and tight whenever I put this back on. So with the dado blade, you won't have a riving knife, so this lever can just go down. And then you use the throat plate for the dado insert to go right over top of that. And that's it. That's how you put the dado blade on, as well as change the SawStop brake. So here's some real quick bonus footage of cleaning this saw blade. When I took this off to put the dado blade on, I noticed that it was looking pretty rough. It still cuts pretty well, but it's a lot better to take care of things before they happen. So to clean this off, need a bucket or a lid of a 5-gallon bucket or something that you don't care to get spray all over. Put that right down in there. And then I'm using Trend brand tool cleaner. This stuff's awesome. I think this bottle is about 10 bucks. And honestly, for as little as you use when you clean stuff, this lasts quite some time. So you just spray it all over the saw blade edges. So we'll let that set for about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and see if any of the sawdust and all the gunk around the outside has dissolved. If not, we can take a scrub brush to it, but we'll let it set and we'll come right back and see what it looks like. Okay, so it's probably been a few minutes. I got a little impatient, but you can already see how it's starting to dissolve some of that on the edges. So if I wipe this off, you can see how much is coming off of that already. If there's a whole lot of buildup, you can take a soft brush or something with bristles. Don't use anything with metal or steel on this. You don't want to scratch or damage the blade, but you can take something with soft bristles and kind of scrub that off on the sides as well. And for just a quick look, you can see how clean that side is that I scrubbed, opposed to this side here, which has not been touched yet. So all we need to do is scrub this other side, flip the blade over, spray it, do the same thing, and then we can wipe this clean. So now we just need to wipe the blade clean. I'm just using paper towels, this way I can just throw them away. And there you have a clean blade. Still very sharp, still a lot of use in this. So if you take the time to keep things clean, everything will last a lot longer. So that's all there is to it. Like I said earlier, in real time, it only takes maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It's a really simple process, especially after you've done it a couple times. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, stay tuned for more.